I need some positivity this week. Listen, the wrestling world has been a whole thing, and we are recording this on a Friday night where you will need to tune in for the SmackDown review to find out why I'm having an identity crisis and have so many questions, but that's for another show. Hi. Hello, all you Viconics wrestling nerds out there, and welcome to another rendition of the Takedown Troupe Reviews, your weekly TNA wrestling review team. I am one of your hosts, El Jefe himself, Mikey, and joined with me, as always, is my lovely co-hosts, Will and Andrew. And we're here to review another weekly TNA wrestling episode. It's nice to continuously to say, and keep bringing up that we had a whole month of clip shows. So I don't want to hear any other promotion in its fandom complain about weekly television shows. We had to wait a whole month and a week in order to get regular TNA stuff again.
Yep.
We're patient, so I don't want to hear anybody else. But yeah, so this episode of TNA, this was obviously from the first night when they did their Orlando tapings a couple weeks ago. And I'm going to start off by saying this. I think the majority of the episode, I enjoyed it. Though I'm going to bring up some certain bits when we get to them because I need whoever is handling these announcements. And, you know, when they decide to tell us these things, I need somebody to work on it because I know what's going on because I follow the wrestling news. But if you do not follow what's been going on with the wrestling news in terms of TNA, would have probably ended up confused. Because there were some questionable things that were announced. I was like, but this theoretically hasn't been told to us on screen. All right, fine, whatever. We're going to get to it because I'm so puzzled, but we'll get to it. So let's just, yeah. You know, the more I talk about it, now I'm second guessing. I'm like, did I actually like this episode? Yes, I did. Okay. Because I actually liked this episode because we opened up, surprisingly, I was really surprised that this opened this show.
Yeah.
Nick Nemeth versus Trey Miguel. Still think that glasses and overalls are now the new fashion trend for 2024. Bringing sexy nerddom back.
Sexy nerds.
Sexy nerds. But Nick Nemeth was not facing the sexy nerd version of Trey Miguel. He was facing the rascal version of Trey Miguel. I thought this match was fun. It was a fun opener. It was great. I will let my constituents talk about this match because what I really want to talk about is what happened after the match because now I'm invested and I'm interested. I was like, I wonder where this is going to go. But Andrew, I'm going to come to you first. This is Nick Nemeth's second match in TNA for Hibs, and this is back-to-back. So what did you think of Nick versus Trey this week?
This one felt shorter than the one last week, but it was still a fun, quick match. I think my highlight, I do like what they're doing with the Rascals, adding that extra bit of challenge for Nick Nemeth. My highlight, though, a super kick ended the match. Like, and I extra appreciate it because, as I've talked about before, I love that, Nick Nemeth is kind of taken on that Shawn Michaels style, and so he actually played into the super kick that actually ended a match. So I thought that was fun. I thought it was a good match, showed off Nick Nemeth, and what happened, after all of this made it even better because stories, I love that they're telling the story and we're seeing what things are being built. So I thought this was good. I thought it was a great opener with Nick Nemeth because you've got, a big name, someone that people are really coming to see what he's going to do here. So I kind of like that they started us off with something big like that.
Will, Nick versus Trey. Not the sexy nerd, but
right. That's all right. So yeah, I was a little. Yes, I liked the match. Yes, I think it set the night up pretty well, energy wise. So it was a good match. The more I watch Nick, the more I really like him. Like I like him a lot. So far, I'm like, I really like this dude. He's a really good wrestler. And anybody who beats up on the Rascals, I'm good with. So I, because the Rascals. What? They're, I'm getting tired of the shtick, I think is what it is. I think I'm getting tired of okay, we know what they're going to do. They're predictable. That's the thing. They're predictable. And I hate that. And I like both of the wrestlers. And I just think, I knew it was going to happen. I was like, okay, we're going to get into the wrestling. Oh, look at that. Oh, what? Someone's going to mess with somebody? What? And people are acting like it's like, oh, I wasn't expecting that to happen. I'm like, really? That's like, it's their MO. I mean, it's truly their MO. Why is it that you don't know that? Like, so, but overall, I really liked the match, and I thought, like I said, the best thing that came out of this match is it made me like Nick even more. And so I'm really excited to see. I'm really excited to see him venture out of the realm of the Rascals and into the other thing that we're going to talk about next.
So let's not waste any time. Let's just peel off the Band-Aid with this one. So as Nick, is celebrating his win, we have a wild Steve Macklin appearance, and he attacks Nick Nemeth, and it seems that Macklin has aligned himself with the Rascals. I was like, what? I was like, what? Okay. And honestly, I kind of dig this. There was a small moment where Zachary went to go do the thing that the Rascals do to Steve Macklin, and the camera guy almost caught Steve Macklin almost broke character because he was trying not to laugh. I love Steve Macklin. He's a good dude. But yeah, so obviously Macklin and Nick have beef because of everything that happened last week. And Macklin's big problem with Nick is the fact that Nick is coming over from WWE, which, yes, they said it on television. Shocker, which is crazy, right? They mentioned where Nick formerly worked for, and he doesn't like that. He's already thinking he's hot stuff, but this is Macklin's playground, and so he's got to play by his rules, and Nick's like, nah, bro, I ain't gonna do that. And so now Macklin is ready to put Nick in his place, and he has aligned himself with the weirdest combination of people I did not know I wanted until I saw it.
Yeah, my response was, this could be a really interesting faction or group, even if it's just for a short period. And, we got to see a little bit more later. And the more, like, I saw them interacting in the ring, the way they work together, and seeing the dynamic, there's a part of it that I'm like, okay, that kind of makes sense now that I think about it, especially with the common enemy. They set up the Rascals having an issue with Nick Nemeth organically. And obviously Macklin was going to be the big one that he's feuding with. So I like that just naturally happened, and it makes sense why they've come together, and just instead of like all three of them being like, oh, this guy from WWE is coming in. Like, the Rascals don't like him because he beat them both up, and in a match he beat them. So I kind of like the way they did this, and like you said, I would have never thought of this, but I'm interested to see where it goes.
But, I think this is a classic. I think this is a classic example of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I mean, for sure, because Macklin and aligning, the way this aligned, I was like, we know that given the right opportunity, Macklin would just destroy them. I mean, just to watch them die. I mean, that's truly. I mean, he's like, well, you guys hate him, I hate him, so hey, let's team up. But I'm like, if I were even the Rascals, I would be like, I don't trust this dude as far as I can throw him.
And I can Macklin them too.
Yeah, exactly. And Macklin's absolutely like, yeah, I don't like you guys, but you don't like him, and I don't like him. So, okay, I guess we can kind of get together, and then when I deal with him, then I'll deal with you guys. That sort of thing is what it really feels like, which is great, and I love that. And because I love it when they put, when Macklin's not out on his own all the time. I really kind of like when he starts to create, or when they put him in these situations where he can betray more than one person at a time, and I love that. So I thought the post match drama was super fun, and again kind of predictable. Because we know that Macklin and Nick have this thing, and I was like, okay. And I literally, when I started watching the episode, I was like, oh, okay, Nick and Trey Miguel, okay. And then I was like, Macklin's going to be in here somewhere. Where is he? Is he going to come into the middle of the match, or is he going to come in at the end of the match? And then I saw, oh well, Vince is there, so he's going to come in at the end. I bet you anything. And then lo and behold, there he was. And I was like, yeah, there we go, there we are. And then this whole unholy trio is beginning to happen, and I'm loving it. I think it's great. I love it. It kind of made the match even more exciting. Kind of like I was like, oh, this is okay. I love this. I love this rivalry that's being built. I love every minute of it.
Exactly. And what I'm loving even more too is I'm going to fast forward a little bit because this is, in connection with what we saw in this opener and afterwards, because Macklin and the Rascals aren't done with making enemies of the TNA roster, because they're backstage now and they're walking through the hallway, and who do they happen to bump into but Speedball Mike Bailey himself. And they both, Bailey and Macklin and the Rascals, mostly the Rascals and Bailey, have a stare down before Macklin kind of pulls them off to go. So hear me out. We're going to get a 6-man tag at No Surrender. Hear me out. It's going to be Macklin, the Rascals, versus Nick Nemeth, Speedball Mike Bailey, and, just hear me out, Trent Seven.
Yep.
I think that is the perfect way to get Trent into TNA, since he unfortunately missed Hard to Kill due to travel issues. And I think having Trent, be a part of this is so good. And plus, I want Speedball Mountain to finally get a chance to debut properly.
Well, and that gives you a way to bring back Trent Seven in an interesting way.
Who also has beef with the Rascals from, Final Resolution too.
Yeah, and so you have that still going on, so it makes sense. It was this promo that actually got me interested, or this backstage interaction that had me interested in this Macklin and Rascals kind of trio, because, like you pointed out, like the Rascals were being hot-headed. They were like the young kids that were being, ready to just fight anybody because, they're just full of piss and vinegar kind of a thing. But Macklin, he's a vet. He's older than they are. Like, he's got that, like, different life experience. And so it's almost like he's, like, bringing some maturity and experience, going like, no, we're not going to do this here. We'll do it another time, and we'll do it in a different way. And so I think what that will actually do is that will make the Rascals even more dangerous, because they have Macklin kind of guiding them. So this got me really interested. I'm interested to see where they're going to go with this trio, because that dynamic, it's, it's a general who's leading 2 gang members, basically. And so it's like now suddenly they have direction on where to take that violence and that underhandedness that they're willing to do. But yeah, I totally think Macklin's the type of leader that will sacrifice them to get ahead if he needs to. And they're the kind of, soldiers that will abandon him if it means their survival. So I think it's a good trio, and I also appreciated that Mike Bailey was chilling backstage barefoot, because, he's Mike Bailey.
I mean, it's his thing, but
yeah,
I don't like to try to foresee into the future, but honestly, that would be a match I would be actually excited to watch for No Surrender. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, there's lots of matches that I can think of in my head that could possibly on No Surrender, and I would watch all of them. But yeah, just building the list of enemies for Macklin and the Rascals is going to be good. And we shall see if predictions are correct, but I thought this was a fun way to start the show, which led into some more fun stuff, which great. So then, from here, the next thing in sequential order, I found this really interesting. So we get this kind of dark lit segment / promo from Diener and Khan. So Diener is trying to salvage. Well, first of all, I'm happy to see that he's back on television. It's been a hot minute since we've seen Diener and Khan. And he wants to save the design. And Khan says the best words to, predict a faction breakup. He's like, the design is dead. I was like, I'm really surprised that Khan is the one who's like, nah, we're done, bro. I was like, whoa, okay. I'm like, I thought Diener would be the one to break up the group, but holy Toledo, Khan's like, nah, bro, we're done with this. Which then leads Diener into kind of a downward spiral, which again, we're going to fast forward a little bit, which leads to his in-ring promo that he has. And he's trying to save the design. Then who should show up to make sure that that doesn't happen? But the French-Canadian Frankenstein himself, PCO. Which then leads into a quick squash match, as we have dubbed on Ring of Honor as a squash. And then Khan just destroys both of them. I was like, what is happening? I was like, what just happened? I was like, I'm kind of here for this Khan weird heel run, I guess. I was like, I don't know. There's so many moving pieces. I was just like, huh?
Yeah.
You're muted, by the way.
It's been a day. It's
It's
like, well, as I was saying, actually, I don't even know what the hell I was saying now. Damn it, I lost it. So, by all means, Andrew, do your thing.
Yeah, I thought this was interesting. I agreed too, because Khan was kind of like the muscle. But at the same time, it makes sense. Like, he's a more intimidating enemy, and I thought what they did later on in the night with him attacking Diener and PCO was, a good way to play into that. It showed kind of how destructive he could be. I'm okay with it because they haven't done anything with the design since they're kind of, what really felt like the end when they were going after, Eric Young, and, trying to end that stuff. The biggest thing that bothered me is, like, that was one of the tag teams that they have, and now they've gotten rid of that, so that's their that division for both men's and knockouts is super thin, and they need to get some more people in there, so bringing back, like, Speedball Mountain and some of that stuff would be really cool. But I'm interested to see where Khan goes with this. One of my first thoughts is, like, could we eventually see Khan against Crazy Steve for, like, the Digital Media Championship and that kind of stuff? But I was pleasantly surprised and impressed with how Khan delivered the things that he did, both, the bit of speaking that he did and his kind of emotional performance in the ring when he attacked them. So if they're going to give him some more development of character, I think they could do a really good job. He's a super imposing figure, so.
Yes. And if this spawns a rivalry between Khan and PCL for a little bit, I would love it. Also, now that Khan is on his own and is going to looks to be a single star, this is just me throwing it and manifesting it out into the universe. Khan versus Jake something. Book it. Stuff.
Oh god.
I was like, somebody's gonna die. It's gonna be kind of amazing.
Khan versus PCO.
It's
that's not
money
gonna be a normal match, and it'll be be Yeah.
Monsters Ball 2.0. Let's go. Yes. I just want everything to be a Monsters
Everything
Ball.
is a Monsters Ball.
Everything's a Monsters Ball.
Well, because Monster Ball matches end up being like the funnest things we've seen in TNA and in Impact too.
They should just make an entire pay-per-view based on Monsters Ball and then just have that.
Seriously, just like weird cage matches, like literally do a TNA version of Halloween Havoc. Like, I'm here for it. My goodness, I would love it so much. So from here, we already covered the backstage with Mike Bailey, the Rascals, and Macklin, which leads into our first tag team match of the evening, which sees Decay taking on some local talent in Orlando, Florida, Mila Moore and Savannah Thorne. Listen, I'm just going to say it. I missed the Decay song, and I'm so happy that I get to hear it once again. No, I was like, the song bangs. I love this. This was not I thought this was actually given some time. I thought it was going to be a squash match. It wasn't. It was pretty decent. my favorite part of this whole thing is when Savannah Thorne goes to like do like the arm like
Yes.
jabs at Jessica, like a Havoc,
Yeah.
and Havoc just like stands there, laughs, and then she didn't curse us out, but she's like, "Oh, you effed up," and then just destroys her.
I'm pretty sure she gave her a headbutt. Like,
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
"Bam!" I was like, "Dang!"
yeah.
This was a fun match.
You can tell that Havoc and Rosemary are having fun getting to be these characters again. Obviously, they had fun, being the Death Dolls too. But they, like, this is something like that. These are characters that they love, and it comes through in the match. My favorite part from this was when I think it was Moore. She went to go tag her partner in, and her partner jumped down and was like, "No, you got this. You got this. I don't want to go in there."
It's like, nah, we don't. It's like, yeah, I'm not messing with Rosemary, and I'm not messing with Havoc. Absolutely not.
Yeah, that was funny.
I did feel like this was pretty much a squash because I was surprised that the champs came out first. And I was like, okay, who are they going to be facing? And then as they got to the ring, I was like, oh, their opponents are in the ring. Okay, it made me think of our other Friday review show that you can tell when it's going to be a squash because you're like, oh, hey, the two that didn't get an entrance and they're already standing in the ring.
Yeah.
I know who's going to win this one. But, it was good. And it's a good way to establish Decay and show them being successful when, again, your division is super shallow. So hopefully they'll just keep doing this while they're building up more and more teams, and it looks like they're doing some. So I'm excited for Decay to really like terrorize that Knockouts tag team division.
Yeah, agreed. I love how they have established these sinister characters, and everyone's afraid of them, which is so great. It's one of those where if they're like walking backstage, everyone kind of like gives them a wide berth. It's like, or here they come. You're like, oh, let me go this way instead. It's like, and I love it. And it's like, and I was earlier, I was going to say before what I forgot is what I remember is that I like how TNA is mixing it up. And it's like we're seeing these like we were talking about the tag teams breaking up, like we're seeing these old tag teams break up, but I think we're going to start seeing new ones coming in, like new ones starting to form, new ones. I think that's what it feels like. It feels like, okay, we need to freshen this up, like with Speedball Mountain and things like that, which is a great tag team. I love them together, and now we've got Decay. And so I think we're going to start seeing these two. I think we're going to see the division start to beef up a bit with some new tag teams. So it kind of made me, this match kind of remind, I was like, maybe they're just saying, hey, here's a taste of what's to come. I think, because it does feel like they're sort of mixing things up. Like we're seeing like sort of, the faces going heels, the heels going faces, then so I just think it's neat what they're doing. And I agree. I think the pool is very shallow in the tag team area, but I think they're gonna start filling it up. I really do. It really kind of I don't know why I have that feeling, but I kind of have that feeling that we're gonna start seeing some new tag teams coming in, or at least reimagined old ones, So this match was really good, by the way, because I freaking love Decay. I freaking love it.
Well, you bring up an excellent point, Will, about I think we're getting a taste of what's to come, because we kind of start to see bits and pieces of this immediately after this match. Because halfway during this match, we cut to like a side-by-side of MK Ultra watching the monitor as Masha Slamovich and Killer Kelly are watching this match happen. As soon as the match is over, we immediately transition and cut to backstage, where we have Gia immediately interview MK Ultra afterwards. Masha says something in Russian, which was beautiful. I was like, yes. And I love that Killer Kelly understands her completely, which is great.
I know.
I was like, cool. Listen, anytime we get MK Ultra on screen, I'm never going to complain because I have missed my girls. But then for me, what kind of made it a little bit better too is we're slowly to start to see more of the Knockouts tag teams, because then Jody Threat and Danny Luna come in at the mention of MK Ultra wanting to get back their titles and being at the front of the line for this. And then Jody and Danny Luna come in and intervene. They're like, hold up. I was like, listen, you had your shot. Now it's time for us to do ours. And eventually the teams argue with each other, which sets up one of my contenders for match of the night, which was really hard for me to pick between tonight, because then we're going to get which sets up Masha Slamovich versus Jody Threat later. And I was like, oh yes, Jody and Danny is a tag team.
Yes.
Gimme.
My only issue with this was it was the first of a few instances where commentary during the Decay match talked about Masha versus Jody. And then we go back to the promo, and then they're like, okay, well, let's have a match tonight. And I was like, well, yeah, we already knew. They told us that was happening. So it was just like weird how they did that a couple of times. But I agree. Danny Luna and Jody Threat, they fit together. They make sense. They're also like, it seems much more likely that they're going to be a successful tag team right now in TNA than either of them are going to be challenging for like the Knockouts title or something. And they fit so well. Like, they're both hard hitting, kind of like, you know, rough, powerful chicks, and they're in there with like MK Ultra and Decay, who are also that way. So like, the Knockouts tag team division right now, if those are the three main tag teams that we have, I mean, those are some beater tag teams right there. I mean, they'll beat some people up, no problem. So I kind of like that, and they're all very different in their aesthetic. So I'm excited for this. I hope so, because I mean, I'm a huge Danny Luna fan, and I love that she threw in the, you know, that's not a promise, it's a threat. Line that they were leaving.
Yeah, that was
Jody
great.
Threats. Yeah, I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, you're already getting along. That's perfect.
Yep. Yeah, so that's what I was saying. I just think we're going to start seeing these new alliances forming. You know, and like you said, we're already starting to see them kind of on the periphery. And I think that we're going to see a lot more of them very quickly. Yeah. Probably very quickly, actually. So, and I'm excited for it. So, because I think that the tag team divisions need to be beefed up, like seriously.
Alrighty, and we'll talk at length about Masha versus Jody, because oh my gosh, it was a thing of art. I loved it so much. Okay, so we're gonna get into this segment, and I feel that we're gonna be divided on this. So we come back for commercial. For those of us that watched it on Access Television, we come back for commercial. And we get the sound check with Alan Angels with his first guest, Josh Alexander. Okay, I'm going to be completely honest. I love me some Alan Angels. I really, really do. I'm going to be completely honest. At first, I did not like the direction that he was going with his character. But then when he started to throw underhanded shade and, you know, talk about Josh's family in a negative light, I was like, okay, I'm kind of sold on this now. Mm-hmm. And I think the irony of this is this whole segment was like a mess, but I feel like that was done on purpose. I had to watch this twice to make sure that I still felt the same way. And I think this segment was a mess, but it was supposed to be. Like, the whole sound check with Alan Angels, for me, I was a child of the early 2000s and 10s. Like, this reminded me of like a host doing like the VH1 I Love the 80s special, where they talk about all the stuff from pop culture, like 80s. Then I Love the 90s too. Alan Angels was giving me that. And Josh was just sitting there. He's like, yeah, I'm trying to be supportive. And then he was ready to beat up Alan Angels once he brought his kid into it. I was like, nope, okay. This was a mess of a segment. But ultimately, the big thing that came out of it is that Angels insinuates that Josh stepped on him to get to where Josh was, and Josh didn't appreciate it. and instead of beating up Alan Angels, he's going to leave. I was like, of course these two are going to have a match in the next couple of weeks. Like, we have to. But I would like to hear, this was chaotic AF, but I was kind of here for it.
And so, you brought up your childhood range, so maybe this will ring more true to Will. This gave me Wayne's World vibes, and not
my god,
not like the movies, but the actual show that they're supposed to be on.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it felt like. It felt like, Alan Angels was trying to take this like as serious as he could, but it's just slapped together. Like, I feel like we might get some somebody's gonna be his like PA camera person who's like was the person struggling with the boom and the camera. Like,
right.
I feel like those might come like kind of like Road Dogg did back in the day for Double J and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like that's what it was, and I love the fact that because it was just this thing that they set up some extra lights in like one of the storage rooms or something, but they were trying to make it feel like it was some set, and it's like it just had that quality. And not only do I want to see more with this with Josh Alexander, but I want to see other people on this segment too, because like you said, he was throwing shade, underhand comments, like, and it wasn't just stepping on him. It was like that. He was like, "Oh no, Josh, I totally understand why you would step on other people to get where you're going. Like, yeah, sometimes you just need to step over other people because you need to get what you want to get." And so it was just like, I really enjoyed this. I got a kick out of it. I thought it was really funny.
I also enjoyed this. It was so shticky. I mean, it was so shticky, and I watched it twice. I went back and watched it again because the first time I was watching it, going, "What in holy hell is this?" And then I was like, "Okay, now let me take my critical glasses off and let me watch it for its entertainment value." And it was truly entertaining. I mean, it was so dumb and so like low production value that it's what made it so damn good. And I was just like, and it was, Josh sitting there just like, why did I agree to this? And to me, it felt very much like the caricature of like a political, like, he's almost like a political commenter. Because he was like, well, you did, you got to do those things in order to passive aggressive, and it was just, and I hee-hawed through the whole second time I watched it. I was like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life, and I want to see more of it now. And I don't want the production value to get better either. I want it to be the same all the time, and even maybe like in different locations. Like, he's not like supposed to actually be filming it where he's filming it, so he changes every time. They like to kick him out, and he finds another place to do it in. I mean, it's just hilarious. I love it.
Official segment,
yeah, I love it. I absolutely like literally the background changes every time they do it. Because and it's like they can't find him. Like, where is he? It's like, so he's always shifting places. I would be all over it. It was.
I want a soundtrack from a broom closet at one of the
seriously. And they're like being really quiet.
Santino's office when like Santino comes in, he's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, sorry."
Hey, everybody, special guest. It's Santino. It's like
it evolves into like the Jimmy Fallon show.
Yeah. And then the end of it is just literally Santino like chasing them out of his office, and the camera's like running behind. I mean, it's a great thing. It's super fun, and if they truly commit to the shtick of it, it could go forever. I mean, it could go forever, and I think I liked it. I really found it to be fun and entertaining, and I look forward to the next one. I mean, it was great.
Me too.
I like it.
I'm super excited.
So why did you think we would be divided on this?
Well, I don't know. I have to remember this is the TNA show, so we pretty much agree on a lot of things.
Okay.
No, probably not about the next match because we kind of talked about it before we started recording. This personally, for me, was my match of the night. Brian Myers versus Kevin Knight.
Oh, I love this
First
match.
Well, first and foremost, Kevin Knight's theme song is still a banger. I love his theme song so much.
That's fair.
Um, I, mm, I I'm okay with the glasses. At first, I didn't like them from last week. I think that was one of my critiques that I forgot to mention. I was like, I don't like the glasses. They're kind of gaudy, and that's saying something because this is Kushida's pro. You're a wrestler, so of course certain things are going to be gaudy. But for me, I was like, maybe not so much.
Oh, you're talking about Kevin Knight's glasses?
Yeah, I was like, I was like,
Well, yeah, it's because he did team with Kushida, so
Right.
like that's a
and that
carryover,
technically
yeah.
is Kushida's like protege, which is really cool.
Well,
We'll
that's
talk
great,
about him
but
later.
find your own
bit.
thing.
I mean, to be fair, what we got through this and after leads me to believe that those connections were made for a reason.
That's fair.
Yes, that's very fair. So I will start off first, and then we'll discuss. I enjoyed this match. This was my match of the night for two specific reasons. Number one, Kevin Knight continues to impress me, and while I couldn't find anything to see that he's not with New Japan anymore, or Noah for that matter either, but he still has those connections, so I'm not entirely sure. But if they want to sign Kevin Knight to TNA, I was like, please do. I think that would be amazing. But more importantly, I kind of dug this match because Brian Myers surprised the hell out of me, which is saying a lot. And I mean, listen, I don't dislike Brian Myers, but for the last couple months, I was like, oh, you're just there, which is sad. I want to see you do more. And I kind of liked what he gave me in this match. I was like, okay, I eat my words partially, so we shall see. I think the only real critique I had about this match is that Kevin Knight did like the same move, I think 3 times within the span of like 2 whole minutes, which was that weird like high body arm drag off the rope kind of thing. I don't know what exactly it was called. He did it like 3 times within the span of 2 minutes. I was like, not sure how. I don't like when wrestlers like it's like a fighting game. I don't like it when you spam your moveset like within a short period of time. Outside of that, though, I thought it was a phenomenal match, and Brian Myers picked up a win here. I was like, okay, so the system is not about to eat all these pins unless you're not moves. I was just like, because last week I was like, oh, they're going to eat these pins, aren't they? But Brian Myers actually picked up a victory. I was like, all right. Then I look at Alicia. I was like, all right, Alicia, it's your turn, girl. We got to pick up a win at some point.
You go ahead, Will. I think I have
Okay.
a feeling on this.
Well, no, I mean, I like this match too. It wasn't my match of the night, but I like this match. It was good. It had its issues. It had its problems. I think both of these wrestlers are really good individually. I didn't like them fighting together. I don't know why. I don't think that. I mean, when you have a fight, I think your fighters have to gel. I don't, as opposed to 2 individual random things trying to like knock each other down. That's kind of what it felt like to me. Like, again, I didn't dislike the match, but I just didn't feel like it was. I wasn't engaged in it. I mean, it didn't pull me in. It didn't. I mean, I just say it didn't pull me in. It did pull me in, but it didn't engage me at all. I was like, oh, okay, cool. All right, Brian Myers. Okay, cool. What's next? I mean, but it wasn't like that was a horrible match. I'm gonna stop it in the middle. It was like I was like, okay, and I agree. I thought seeing some stuff from Brian, Myers that was pretty new that I had never seen before. I was like, that's kind of cool, But overall, I didn't feel that it was a very strong match. Like, I think it could have been stronger. And I don't know if that is maybe Brian and either of them probably should have been fighting different people. I think maybe, I don't know. It was just, to me, it just felt a little off to me. And so I was like, oh, okay. Like I said, wasn't a bad match. Just wasn't a favorite match by any means, but it's pretty good. That's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, I agree with you, Will. No, I think, and it's funny that you said you didn't stop it halfway through because I feel like the second half of this match was much better than the first.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the match took a while to get started.
Yeah.
And so it felt really slow in the beginning, but then it started to pick up, and they did have some fun things that made me go like, I wish I could have seen more of that later on. And I thought the build to the finish was good. I did think it was funny that Knight said something in the beginning about having friends, and the jet never flies alone, but he was out there by himself. Um,
Yeah, that was funny.
uh, I also thought that it was interesting that the Edwards left during the match, and then we saw them later. Um, but I thought it was, for me, it was like a C plus match. So it was decent, it was average, but I agree. I think we could have seen more from either of them, and it does seem like. And my note in here was even, yes, have Knight, Kushida, and Motor City Machine Guns form up a group to deal with like the system.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's what's gonna happen. My interest from that would be seeing, I think they call them intergalactic jets, when it's Kushida and Kevin Knight facing against Myers and Edwards. Because I think Myers and Edwards make a really good tag team from what we've seen of them already, and it keeps them both. It plays to their strengths. So seeing the two of them, I'd rather see that tag team match than the singles match that we got.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you're right. That's it. I didn't even think about that, but this would have been a great like tag team match. And it's because it felt that's what it felt like. That's what was missing. I felt like there was something missing from it, and I think that was probably what it was. Is that I think this match would have probably banged if it had been Myers and Edwards against Kushida and Kevin. I mean, I think that would have been a grand freaking tastic match. And this one I felt like there was something missing. That's what it was, and maybe that's what it was. I don't know, but now that I think about it, that would have been a way better match. So, yeah.
And I think we're going to get it eventually. So follow me on this journey here. As soon as this match is over, Kevin Knight gets surrounded, and then Kushida comes out for a semi-save, kind of, which then leads into, the system leaving into the hallway in the arena that they're using, which then they get approached by Alex Shelley. Basically tells Moose is like, I accept your challenge, and it's like, okay, sure. I am excited, but I did not like how we got to this point. I did not like this interaction.
It didn't make any damn sense.
I was like, had Alex Shelley started with, I get a championship rematch in my clause as a former champion, and then I was like, cool. We kind of reversed the order of it.
Yeah.
We got this interaction. Then Shelley kind of mentioned it. I was also... I was kind of surprised at this point of the show. I was just like, oh, the system is not going to attack Alex Shelley. All right. And then we fast forward to the third act of this whole saga. They're like, we're not going to attack Shelley, but we're going to beat the bricks off of Kushida. I was like, okay. I'm like, super group incoming.
Yeah, they should have had Shelley and system interaction at the beginning.
Yep.
Then they should have had the match with Knight and Myers, because Kushida came in at the end of that to save Knight, which set up that possible tag team match in the future, and then had the interaction we had at the end happen, because that makes sense then why they went after Kushida.
He was all out of order. Yeah.
And commentary and graphics revealed that Shelley and Moose were already happening on social media and on this card before we even saw the interaction.
Yeah.
I was so mad. I was just like, I mean, I could have predicted that coming out of left field. Like, it's not a surprise that Alex Shelley's getting his rematch at No Surrender, but I was like, but you told me this before I got to see how we're setting this up.
Exactly. That's
and everything was out of order. I was just like, man, they needed to move some stuff around because this was all out of order and all out of whack.
Yeah.
Which brings up the problem that I had. I was just like,
I mean,
what are we doing?
it was just poor storytelling. I mean, it really was. I mean, this particular grouping of things was just bad storytelling. I was like, bad form, TNA, bad form. Come on.
I feel like the fact that it was pre-recorded, like
Yeah.
this was edited together poorly.
Yep.
Like because it was pre-recorded, they could have. You don't have the issue that the live shows have, where you're like watching it as it's happening.
Right.
Like they could have put this together, watched it, and been like, okay, let's actually put this together. But it was like whoever was responsible for cutting this episode did it in a really weird way.
Yeah, he really did. Fire that guy.
It's like, you are fired, as in like Cat in the Hat would do.
Put him on catering duty.
Oh my gosh. And then this kind of brings up the issue we talked about beforehand. I was just like, I know TNA pre-tapes all their stuff, but we got to figure out a way to tell things in sequential order.
Mhm.
And this one wasn't inherently as egregious as some of their previous out of order stuff we got like towards the tail end of 2023. But this is TNA, folks. I was like, y'all got that Endeavor money. We got to figure out how we're going to make these pre-tape stuff work. Now, am I excited for the eventual clash between the system and this mega group of Kushida, the Motor City Machine Guns, and possibly Kevin Knight? Oh, absolutely. I know this is going to be a great match whenever we get it. But you can't be telling the story in out of order. It's really, really weird. So, from one half of the Motor City Machine Guns to another, we cut backstage with Gia Miller, who is interviewing Chris Sabin, who talks about, the prestige of the X Division champion. And the wrestling gods have blessed us because Chris Sabin gets interrupted, not by an actual person, but a video playing on the television monitor of Mustafa Ali, who basically tells us that he's coming for that X Division title. And I immediately was clapping so hard. All three of us have different, experiences with Mustafa Ali. Me and Will got the most recent because he was in NXT. Still upset that they released him literally days before his match. That made no flipping sense.
No, it did not. I was so angry. I was so mad about that too. So pissed.
But look what he's doing with it now. Like,
yeah, absolutely. It's like huzzah, but yeah, I was.
I am Mustafa Ali, and I approve this match. Listen, Mustafa Ali and Chris Sabin is going to slap.
It's gonna be good.
They haven't told us this yet, but I'm pretty sure that it's Ali versus Sabin for that X Division Championship at No Surrender, where I think Ali takes it and gets a short run for like the 6-7 shows he signed on with TNA, and I'm so excited.
Could you imagine if in this year we get to see Mustafa Ali as the TNA X Division champion, and we get to see eventually Nick Nemeth as the TNA World Champion? Like,
amazing.
I mean, that's crazy. That's insane. I love it. That's so awesome, and I love the way he cuts these packages. It's like the TV came on and he wasn't even talking to Chris Sabin, but everything he was saying was
to Chris Sabin. I mean, it was like, I know, it was great. One of my favorite video packages that he ever did was the one where he was like playing the president or whatever. That was one of my absolute favorites. I was like, this is really cool, because that's when I was first introduced to him, and I was just like, who's this dude? This dude's pretty badass on this. I was like, okay. And then I was like, this is how you do a video package. This is what video packages need to look like. Because I was like, these are good. And then I was like, oh, I love this dude. And then suddenly he was gone. And I was like, I hate the world right now. And now he's like back. Yay!
Yeah. And the way he can work in the ring. Like, I mean, yeah. It was such a squandered talent that WWE NXT had with him that, like,
yeah,
there's a part of me that I'm happy he gets to truly
me too.
free.
Yep.
I'm just really happy that there's a bunch of people that their 90 days of no compete clause is finally up. A lot of them are making headways. A lot of them are coming to TNA too in the next couple of months. Honestly, I'm super excited about this. We go from we kind of go from one promo from Ali to another one, but Andrew.
Well, we also had a couple of new surprise returning guests show up during that promo too.
Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, the Good Hands are back and actually
Yes.
back together as a tag team.
I was like, paternity leave has finally come to an end. Love it. I can't wait. And honestly, like they were being so passive aggressive. I love it. And basically, a we get a match between. I just love the Good Hands and just how passive aggressive they are. But this sets up a match with Chris Sabin and them. And I was just like, okay, this is gonna be entertaining.
Yeah.
This is gonna be good.
I like at the end after Chris Sabin left after agreeing to the match with John Schuyler that the Good Hands were like, yeah, that went well. Do you think Ali saw that? And it was just like you can
They're
already
like
tell.
fanboying over him now. I love it.
They're like, can we be your security detail like when you get here? Like, yeah, I'm interested to see where they go with that too. But
Okay.
Again, another tag team. Maybe we're building.
There we go.
Yeah, so
love it. So now we go from one backstage and kind of promo segment into another one, and this is the one that I've been waiting on. From what we saw 2 weeks ago when Frankie Kazarian beat up Eric Young after they lost their match. And I'm gonna be completely honest. There were bits and pieces I liked about this. But Frankie, my dude, I was kind of disappointed. I was like, sir, you are a veteran of this industry. Now, if someone handed you this and you did your best with it, then fire that person. But Frankie, you have been wrestling for 20 plus years at this point. You have cut lots and lots of promos. This is not the direction that I thought we were going in, and I was very underwhelmed, and that makes me very sad because I was actually kind of hyped to see what Frankie had to say. And he said a whole lot of nothing. Where do we even start? I don't even know.
I may have been jaded to this promo because like the day before I watched like 10 wrestling tropes that need to like go away or whatever, and one of them was about this generic heel turn, and it's the same thing. It's the you fans don't appreciate me, the company doesn't do this, I'm gonna stand on my own, I've been doing that. And it was just like it felt so generic, and I wanted something different from Frankie Kazarian. Like you said, Mikey, he's a vet. And the setup to this was so much more interesting than what we actually got. The most interesting thing about this promo was the end when he was leaving and we saw Eric Young backstage peeking out and watching.
That was a cool shot. I'm not going to lie. That was a cool shot. Will, once you've unmuted yourself, what are your thoughts on this?
I've been having conversations with myself, so because I've been like I had all this in my head, and I was like, I was literally arguing with myself. That's why I was like, I need to mute myself, if they're going to hear me argue with myself. But
that would be entertaining, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, fair, but yeah. Anyway, you don't want to hear all that. So I was so pissed off after this thing. I was so pissed because don't get my hopes up and then drop me like a hot potato. And that's exactly what this did. Because he's setting up when he was like attacking Eric Young. And I was like, yeah, Frankie Kazarian's going to be a monster. I was like, I am here for it. And then this happened. And I'm like, what the fuck just went on? I was like, what candy ass speech was that? I was like, what? You're not. Shut up. I mean, truly, I was like, I could come out and kick your ass right now. I mean, come on. If you're gonna set up, because that was a badass setup. And when he like attacked Eric Young and he did all that, I mean, that was badass. I was like, hell yeah, we're gonna get this. I mean, amazing heel turn. And I was like, he's gonna be like the villain. And now he's just sort of like, yeah, I'm bad, guys. Okay, I'm gonna go have a cappuccino now. And it was just like,
it's a very Hollywood-esque
Yeah.
generic heel turn that we see across multiple companies. And it's 2024. There are so many directions you can take.
I expected more from him. I expected so much more from him. I know you're right, Mikey. I don't know whoever wrote this crap for him, because surely he didn't. Because no way. Because if he did, I'm gonna be like, you need to retire, because you obviously. Go ahead.
It's funny that you said that the villain part, Will, because that's exactly what I was picturing. Like,
yes,
we already have a faction that's going to be running problems for people. We now saw Macklin with the Rascals. I thought Frankie was going to be the solo villain.
Absolutely.
Was just going to, like, he didn't care. He didn't need anybody else. He was going to do it on his own. He was going to do what he needed to do to win. And then, he came out and it was just this whiny, this, like, and it's such a bummer. Like,
I was so mad. Because I wanted him to be the villain. I wanted him to be like, I will take down. I don't care if you're a heel, you're a face. I don't care. I'm going to take you out. And that's what I was like. Yes, that's what we need. We need a villain. You know, we don't have villains right now. We have bad guys, but we don't have the villain. We need a full-on villain who does what he does because it's what he does. And he doesn't necessarily, I don't do it for this, I don't do it for that. I do it because I like it.
Yeah.
And then we didn't get that. We got some...
we needed a Kazarian that other heels don't mess with. Like, other heels are like, oh yeah, we attack people, but we don't mess with.
Yeah.
With
no, he's like, I'm going to kick your ass. I'm going to kick your ass. I'm going to kick your ass.
Exactly.
And I was like, what I was hoping that was going to happen, and I'm so pissed that it didn't. But I wanted him to come out there and be like, this is who I am now. Get over it. Oh, and by the way, you're going to call me this now. And I was like, give us a new name. Give us something that it's going to be like, we're going to see in big letters somewhere. And it's just going to be, he's going to like challenge everybody. And like, I'm going to destroy you just to watch you die. That's it. I don't even want the damn title. I would just want to destroy you. That's what I was hoping for. I was like, which would have just been so badass. I mean, to like challenge, like, for a belt, beat their asses and just throw the belt back at them and just walk away. I mean, that's what we want. And we got whatever the fuck that was. I was so mad. I was so mad.
You know, initially when Frankie Kazarian, when he turned on Eric Young 2 weeks ago, I'm going to go full game nerd here, so bear with me, follow me on this journey. What I was hoping for is I was looking for Kazarian to be a TNA version of something like... So Final Fantasy is one of my favorite series, right? So I was expecting this heel turn for Frankie Kazarian to be a TNA version of, I don't know, a Kefka or a Sephiroth type of villain. But instead, what we got was the boring-ass generic, like, from Final Fantasy 13, like the clergy and the church. I was like, this is a weak villain turn. Literally, the parallels are there. They wanted to take over the world because they felt like it and they were being whiny about it. Whereas Sephiroth wanted to destroy the world for the betterment, but I wanted Kefka, Frankie Kazarian. He's like, I'm going to cause mayhem. I'm going to destroy the world because I got bored. I want Frankie to go full on villain mode. Like, full parallels in wrestling. I wanted him to go full, like, a Batista heel run, the good Batista heel run.
Right, fair enough.
There was a very bad one that was a couple years ago, but I wanted Frankie to just go on a tear. It's just like, look, I don't care who you are, friend or foe, you get in my way, I'm gonna
take you out.
Step on you, and I'm gonna squash you like a bug.
I mean, put him in black suits.
Yes.
Go by like
visually, this was also boring visually.
Whatever. Like,
it was the whole thing was just stupid. And I'm like,
Frankie Kazarian was dressed like he was the villain from Hotel for Dogs. Like that's how boring this was.
exactly. I agree with you. It wasn't even he wasn't even dressed like a cheesy Bond villain. It was like this. I mean, it was like dumb. I was so mad. I have never been so freaking angry about a storyline that fell flat like I was for this one, because I was like, I wanted to see the Frankie Kazarian that was going to come and destroy this company from the inside, literally, and just like that's his goal. He's like, I'm going to destroy TNA from the inside. I'm going to take this company down one wrestler at a time. That's what I was hoping for. I was like, I would have been giddy little girl on that one. And I was so angry. I was so mad. Oh, I've never cussed so much at a television in my life.
And the heat that he got from the audience wasn't good heel heat.
Mm-mm.
It was, they were like, they had the same responses. They were like, yeah, we don't care.
Nope.
It's like next.
Yeah.
The only good thing that came out of this was like Andrew and Will, like we just talked about, like that cool shot with Eric Young peeking through the curtain. I was like, okay, this is kind of a cool shot, but
do you think we'll get the return of Super Eric?
Oh my God. Listen, if we end up getting superhero Eric Young back, I may just quit.
But you know what's so funny though? But what you know what's so funny about that? You mentioned that, but it should be like Superman versus Lex Luthor.
Yes.
This is exactly what it should be.
Yeah.
Kazarian should be Lex Luthor, and all he wants to do is destroy Superman just because he can say he did. That's it. Yeah. Not because of some moral whatever the hell, but literally, like, look at me, I can destroy you just because.
Yeah.
That would have been fantastic. That would have been better than what we got.
I'm worried about this feud going into the future because I was just like, I'm very afraid.
We'll see what they give us from here, but we did get some more good promos.
Next, we got our third perfume commercial, Ash by Elegance.
I don't
care what nobody says.
No.
Everyone's like,
I
don't care what nobody says. This is amazing. I was just like, yes, Ash, you continue to do your thing, girl.
I absolutely love these.
I love how every week it's some different version of the same kind of through line monologue of this perfume. Literally, TNA needs to start selling like perfume. It's like seriously, like have an actual perfume.
I love that her debut kind of like into the company was while they were in Vegas, because they've been shooting. They shot all of these in Vegas.
Yep.
And it's the perfect setting for introducing her, the backgrounds and everything. It's just it fits it so well.
Vegas is a neon playground of what a lot of places you can do this stuff.
These are just so great, and you know, these are, like we've said before, like the production values of these are so good that I'm just like, I want to see more of this with other wrestlers. I want to see some really cool, like these really sort of really well thought out sort of, you know, some great cinematography, and you know, I just think it would be great. I think because these are fantastic, and I want more of them. I feel like we're getting some good ones, like Mustafa Ali's packages, and you know, so hopefully, as they're reintroducing people or bringing new people in, we get some of these packages, and like what we got from Decay when they had their little speech there, like more of that. Let's see that, and then the good backstage segments that we got, like Joe Hendry and DJ Trashcan, and some of those things. But yeah, no, these are so much fun, and it's getting me excited about seeing what she's gonna be like in person, with minimal, like it's they're teasing, but they're not telling us what we're gonna get. But that's what the excitement is. Like, we get to see the present that's wrapped, and we're just interested to see what's going to be inside, because the shape and the wrapping of it seems intriguing, but it's not giving away too much. Agreed.
I'm excited. I can't wait to see this.
Me too.
So, speaking of DJ Trashcan,
got this one.
So this one was kind of rough. AJ Francis has his cameraman follow him, and he's trying to continue to recruit Rich Swann. Essentially, this is the same promo that we got last
time,
just in a different form and different.
And we
lighting.
got Rhino.
And we got Rhino.
Yep.
There's not much I can say about this. This is literally the same promo we got last week, just different lighting. And Rhino appeared.
I think it's interesting that it's like AJ Francis. I don't know if it's just like, I mean, obviously they're trying to tell something with him and Rich Swann, but it's like if he's coming in and he's talking about that money and all that stuff, and he's looking for, you know, basically some people to like work for him, with him, whatever. We literally saw that the Good Hands are back in TNA. We know from their last story that they'll work for hire. Like, go after someone like that. I don't know. Like, either that or you got to progress this, because there's just nothing exciting happening here with AJ Francis. And the little bit that I know of him, it doesn't get me excited, especially because we don't have any Joe Hendry. So
that's what I'm saying. I was just like, I thought we were getting an AJ Francis Joe Hendry feud, but like, did we put that on the back burner? Like, what's going on with all this? And I was like, Rich Swann is going to be one of the few faces that is never going to turn. Like, Rich Swann will always be babyface to me because the crowd loves Rich Swann, and he has built that reputation as a good babyface to have on your roster. And I was just like, AJ, you got to get this up. Like, if you're going to go after somebody to be your backup, again, the Good Hands. Like, I don't know. Find some other people you can use, because Rich Swann is not going to turn and to join your cause. I don't know. This one was kind of rough. A Wild Rhino also appeared. I was like, but I thought you were crazy. Okay, never mind. I guess not. I just want consistency, you guys. Rhino's everywhere right now, and I don't understand why. I don't know.
I don't get it either. But maybe they're planning something with him. You know, maybe they're trying to like rev us up and be like, "Ooh, why are we seeing a lot more of Rhino? What's going on with that?"
I was like, you just had an interaction with Crazy Steve. I thought we were gonna get that, but I guess not. I don't know.
I will say, just because I cheated a little bit.
Boy.
We don't talk about it yet because we haven't really worked it into our schedule. But I did take a peek at Explosion, which is, TNA Dark. And so we do get to see some stuff with Rhino and Crazy Steve's story going on a little bit. I just saw a glimpse of it, so I'm not sure what happened. So you might want to log on to that and check that one out. You know, there you go, TNA. Plug for you.
Man, now we gotta watch more stuff. I'm just kidding.
And then it looks like there's something to do with the Rich Swann AJ Francis story, but I don't know. Maybe it's because we're just 2 episodes into Explosion, and it comes out for us, especially reviewing it the day after. It comes out the same day that we're like, possibly watching TNA. So it's going to be interesting to see how we factor that into watching stuff. But I don't want to have to like it at least give us some more information, or tell us that these things are going to happen on Explosion or whatever, because you already told us you already ruined other things that were going to happen for No Surrender and matches that were announced before we even saw the competitors make the agreement to have the match. So instead of doing that, why don't you give us a little information of like
Wrestling Gods got tired of us talking
the show? I'm assuming you're trying to get people to watch.
Oh no, come back to us.
Uh-oh.
I know. Alrighty.
And that is not a good look for him, by the way.
No. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna offer a burnt offering to the Wrestling Gods. So in the meantime, grab a snack. We'll be right back. And we're back. So we may have appeased the Wrestling Gods, specifically the TNA Gods. We offered bacon, or at least Canadian bacon, in honor of PC.
Hey, Canadian! Canadian!
Oh, hey, there you go.
I'm literally wearing my bandana to honor my Canadian folks.
Yay! So yeah, I definitely want to check out Explosion, but yeah, you gotta let us know if we gotta be watching it to factor into what we're seeing on TNA. Yeah, we need to figure that out. So we go from this into probably the most heartwarming segment of the evening. We get a behind-the-scenes, more in-depth look of Jordynne Grace's day and her debut in the WWE Royal Rumble last week. Wild to watch live, by the way.
I thought it was funny when Mikey was like, Andrew and I were like, oh my god! I was like, I totally knew she was going to be there. How did y'all not
Yeah,
know
because
she was going to be there?
you saw stuff online. I stayed off the internet.
Yeah. I wasn't even planning on being at the Royal Rumble watch along, and
That's
then I was like, I gotta go join Mikey. I'll watch it. I'll be there for it. And yeah,
Which I'm appreciative of because I would have been the only one watching it live.
this
Aw.
promo was so, it was so good. And again,
This
it's
was
It
good.
was so good.
getting to see behind the scenes, like see her mom talk about it, see her talk about it, like
Yeah.
how excited she was to see her friends, and that moment of like when she walked into the arena and it was daytime and it was empty, you could just like see that look on
Oh
her
yeah.
face. But I think, and it's funny because I had this thought right as they were talking about Jordan Grace. Like I just kept hearing the "You deserve it" chant in my
Yeah.
head, and
Hmm.
then seeing Gail Kim's reaction, like you just saw a clip of it, but how excited she was for Jordan, like I was realizing, like right as it went into that clip, that like Jordan Grace is the modern Gail Kim. She is like a TNA icon. Like no matter what she does with the rest of her career, if she leaves TNA and goes somewhere else or anything like that, like what she's done and how much of a stalwart she's been for TNA is just huge.
Yeah.
And the fact that Scott Demore helped set that up when they asked for someone and he helped send her was so good. Like I loved seeing all this, and yeah, Jordan Grace is awesome.
Agreed.
It was such a beautiful thing. I love these like more in-depth personal looks at our wrestlers.
Yeah. This is
I
what,
loved it.
and this is what TNA does very well. Like we said it earlier, TNA just does this so well. Like it really gets us invested in them as people, not just characters. Like and I love that. I mean, when we mentioned about like the UK tour, and we
Mm-hmm.
saw them kind of like off the clock, so to speak, and
I get to hang out,
and-
and we kind of got to see a peek behind the personal life too. Like when we had that
Yeah.
four-part Crazy Steve interview, like we
Yeah.
learned so much about his personal life.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh! I was like, I just want to give this man a hug.
I know,
Because
right?
he went through a lot. And then of course when he talks about like his eyesight is
Yeah.
like
Like
slowly
going away. Yeah.
and he's gonna be legally blind in a couple of years. I'm like, oh my gosh, Crazy Steve. I was like, now I want to root for you more,
Yeah.
dude.
I know, exactly.
Well, I feel like that's part of the reason why like the Kazarian promo didn't work. Like
Mm-hmm.
we get to know these performers. We appreciate the work that they do and when they're being authentic. And even if we know
Hmm.
what they're portraying, in the ring and, on camera is not 100% of who they are outside. Like we know that this person isn't a horrible person, even though they play a bad person
Right.
on TV. That we go into it because we are invested and we know it's genuine. And I think
Mhm.
when it feels like it's not, it
Yeah.
bothers us more because
Yep.
we have that investment in TNA.
Yep. Ding, 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 ding. I agree.
And then the emotional whiplash happened because I was like, aw. And then we get a bumper. It's like, yeah, next week, Savannah Evans and Giselle Shaw versus Jordan Grace and Trinity. I'm like, what? I was like, what? I was like, and then like once we get to the end after the show goes off the air, I was like, no setup. I was like, damn. I was like, damn. Don't get me wrong.
It's gonna be an awesome match. Yeah.
It
It's gonna
is.
be an
It's gonna be
awesome match,
freaking amazing.
which tells me this was probably Trinity's final match before she went back to the Royal
Yeah.
Rumble.
It is.
Which, by the way, seeing Natalia smile as big as she did when, Naomi's music hit, I was like, I don't care what nobody says. And I appreciate Michael Cole and Corey Graves mentioning, her stint in TNA. It's crazy because Vince McMahon would never let them talk about other promotions because they don't exist in his mind. And then Jordan Grace, listen, Scott Demore out here putting in the Lord's work, being able to have Jordan Grace be a part of that Rumble was crazy. It was wild.
Well, and the way she talked about like she didn't have time to get new gear, but she got to wear the TNA gear, like with the TNA colors, and that she was the only one there to like rep TNA. and that she got almost 20 minutes in the Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean,
her and
yeah, it was
Bianca had
so good.
that beautiful spot with the KOD on the apron was so good.
Yes, yes,
If
because
we
they
were
had
to
her.
truly have a forbidden door, I want Jordan versus Bianca so bad.
Yeah, such a powerhouse.
Ugh.
Yeah, it was good, and I like to think of it in the storylines of wrestling that Trinity lost the second time to Jordan. She went back and got to be in the Royal Rumble, but she has unfinished business, so now she's coming back to team with Jordan Grace for one last match in TNA, at least for a while, to face up against the Sean Farage. Um, even though I know that's not how it really happened, but I like
I
to
was
think
like,
that it's
yeah,
actually
because I was like, this was
fluid.
taken go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know, I know, I
It's
know.
funny. I love it so much. You get a powerful women. Woo! This next match, Masha Slamovich versus Jody Threat. Listen,
Yes.
we know Masha can go. She killed it in this match. But let's be all the way 100. This was the second coming of Jody Christ, in my opinion. Like, Jody Threat, man. Holy crap. I was like, okay, give me more of this Canadian badass. Like, she is so good. And she kept Masha on her toes this match. And she had. Listen, Jody might be tinier, but she is literally. She will bite you. She will fight and bite you. I was like,
I think this is a match that Jody needed.
yes.
Like,
Totally agree.
really, I really was like, because when I was like, ooh, this is gonna be good, and yeah, and I was like, this, and at the end of it, I was like, that was such a needed thing for her because she needed that. To me, it felt like this is my validity happening right now, that I can get in this ring, and you're right, kept Slamovich on her toes. I was like, because most people would look at this and go, oh, she's going to destroy her, and it was like, nope. I was like, wow. I was this was one of this is probably my match of the night, to be honest, only because women's wrestling, I love it, but these two women, I mean, Jesus Christ, I was just like, I would not survive in a ring with these women. Like, I mean, I'm a big guy too, and they would destroy me. And I mean, just by looking at me, really. I mean, they wouldn't have to do much, but I just was so impressed with this match and both of them. I was so impressed with both of them because they were giving it and they were taking it equally. And because Slamovich is so well known, so we know her. We know she's great. She's an amazing wrestler, and we think, oh well, whoever she goes up against is toast. And then, and my initial thoughts were, I was like, oh, she's going to annihilate her. And it didn't. And it really pulled me in. And I was like, okay, I'm on top of this match now. I was like, okay, I had to pause and like get a drink. And then I was like, can come back. And so this was my match of the night because I thought these two women just fought their hearts out. And even though Masha won the fight, I kind of feel like they both won. Jody won. She won something. She won the recognition that she could literally go up against, Masha Slamovich and not die, and hold her own. So this match rocked my world. I'm not gonna lie. So anyway, to you now.
This would have been my match of the night had it not been for the main event, and the only reason is because it was a tag team match, and I'm biased. But no, I loved this match from the beginning. Like the way they set it up with the promo. I love that Danny Luna came out with Jody Threat, and they were like, she was hyping her up. There was even a moment when Jody Threat went up to the turnbuckle to do her like kind of thing to the audience. And you saw her, she indicated for Danny Luna to come up, and I think Danny Luna was like, no, it's fine, it's fine.
No, this is you.
But it was like, it established that connection between them And then the fact that both Masha and Jody got to show off their own variations of this like hard hitting, crazy, like physical style against each other. It was just so much fun. It was so good. We got to see them. It felt like, we saw that from Danny Luna when she faced Jordan Grace when they were doing the UK tour. And
Mhm.
this kind of felt like Jody's version of that match, getting to show that she could be there. We saw them as a tag team. I want to see them again. Like, put them against some developmental performers, some local talent, so we can see them pick up a win and see what they can do as a successful tag team. And then Danny Luna just laying Killer Kelly out with that clothesline on the outside when she got involved. Because I was like, yes, this is tag team work right there. You are helping your partner, even if you're not in the match. And I mean, Killer Kelly took that clothesline. She folded like a lawn chair when she hit the ground. I thought it was awesome. Like everything about like this match was just so good, and it's building up the story of the tag teams. It's building up their feud against each other, and it's building up the Knockouts tag team division story as a whole. Because, like I said, either of these tag teams are showing that they could go against Decay, and even if they might not beat them, that they can fight them. It's not something you're just gonna be like, oh, if they face Decay, they're just gonna get smashed. Like, no, no, no. If you take them lightly, either of these four, any of these four women are gonna hurt you. And so I love the way that this match worked.
I, ugh, I love this match. This is so good. So then, we get bumpers. So we get the official confirmation: Moose versus Alex Shelley for the TNA World Championship at No Surrender. And then they kind of bury the lead a little bit because they're like, oh, by the way, Jordan Grace versus Giselle Shaw is also happening at No Surrender. I'm like, excuse me? I'm like, what? I was like, we didn't even. I was like, you couldn't have waited until next week after the match with Jordan and Trinity versus Giselle. So, what
Yeah,
is happening? I was like, we buried the lead with this one. I almost said something else, but that's not appropriate to say on this channel. I was like,
I I actually fully expect them to have Giselle Shaw actually at the end of that match announce that she's gonna cash in that Ultimate X thing, and
Yeah.
it just totally be like, oh, well, that's anticlimactic because you already told us it was happening now. Like
I know.
why did you do that?
the way that
Why
this
did you
is
do
laid
this?
out, I totally expect them to do that now, and I feel like it will happen.
If it happens, I'm gonna be so upset. But we have two matches for No Surrender officially. Do I think the matches are gonna slap? Yes, they are gonna be so good. But again, sequence of order, peoples. like I was like, listen, I know this is not a tentpole pay per view, and so it might be a little weird building up to this. But come on, I was like, ugh. Anyways, so we have a couple weeks until No Surrender, so we're probably gonna get more matches, which I'm excited for. Then we get to the main event. This is the first match of the best of three series for the TNA World Tag Team Championships. The challengers versus young vets. The champions, ABC. Literally the battle of alphabet soup, as I had dubbed this. GYV versus ABC. I'm just gonna let Andrew take the lead. Tag team experts. You
I
already
mean,
prefaced it. This is your tag, the match of the night. But
this was my match of the night. I mean, it was an amazing tag match. We got to see two different styles of tag teams. This was why I was so excited to see GYV come into TNA, because it's like watching any of the really great tag teams that we have to watch across the different companies. They're so good at what they do, both physically and character wise. And ABC is the same way. Like, we saw this when they fought the Rascals, and we've seen this in all their other matches as a tag team. They're just both uniquely quality tag teams. And I love how back and forth it was. It was two heelish tag teams trying to outdo each other in their own unique ways. And I was super surprised by the ending because I thought the champs were going to get the advantage here. I thought they were going to get the advantage going into this best 2 out of 3. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next two matches. because it's going to put that pressure on them. But man, I was never bored during this match. It was just so much fun, and I mean, it's watching them wrestle made me excited to watch them wrestle again. And I feel like if you're gonna have this best 2 out of 3, best uh, 3 out of 5, or whatever the series might be, like that's what you needed to be, and they did that.
Loved it. Will, what did you think? Match number 1, GYV versus ABC.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. I think these two tag teams are pretty brilliant. They're fun. They're fun to watch. I agree. The two different styles kind of clashing in on each other. It's really great. Um, the GYV, I love that how kind of raw they are. Like, and they're raw and just angry. It's like, and I love it. And and ABC is so young. Like, truly, they're so young, and it was great to kind of see like the olders versus the youngers. And um I was surprised at the ending of it. I really was. I thought the first match would go to ABC, but I kind of like that it didn't. At first I was like, oh yeah, ABC was going to get the first match, and then it'll probably then the Grizzled Young Vets will get the second one, and then the third one will be the big toss up. But then uh, when the Vets won, I was just like, oh, well, that was a wrench I wasn't expecting, and I'm kind of liking that they kind of are making the champs look weak, so to speak. And it might be this is going to be like oh, we're beating them down. We're beating them down. See, we can conquer them. We can win. And then they come back and kick their asses. But, I mean, we'll see. I mean, we still have 2 more matches to go. But I liked it. It was good. I mean, I really enjoy the tag team matches. I really do. And this would have been my match of the night as well. But I was really behind Jody and that Jody Masha fight, because it was just so great to see that. But this was my close. This was like this one. If the Masha and Jody fight did not happen, this would have been my number 1 for sure, because it was really good. It was really good.
Oh my goodness. I really love this match, and right now this is, if you're looking at the TNA tag division, really are your top 2 teams that you currently have right now on the roster in terms of the men's tag team. I'm excited, and what I'm hoping they do is they space this out. So like this first match, I hope we get promos next week, and then we get the second match, and I would love the third and final one to be at No Surrender.
Yep.
Which I think would be a nice way to build into it.
Agreed.
But oh my goodness, this is a fantastic match. GYV is now 1-0 over ABC, and this is how we end the show for this week. So now we get into our ratings. So with everything that we've talked about in the last hour and a half, final ratings, I'll go first. I think minus my nitpicks and some of the things I was like, okay. I still thought this was a solid episode. I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10 for me. For the most part, I enjoyed all of the wrestling, even the squash match, like with ECO and Diener, and just seeing lots of character development. But points got taken off because we really need to figure out whoever is doing the graphics and doing like the timetable of like when things get announced. We're like, just small sequence of order, you guys. Like, it's gonna be okay. But I really enjoyed this. Listen, reviewing on Fridays has become the best thing ever because I get 2 of my favorite promotions right now who are making me laugh, cry, and having a good time being a wrestling fan. 8 out of 10 for this week. I will give the floor to whoever wants to go next.
I enjoyed this episode. I think inherently there was nothing wrong with it. other than the hiccups that it had, but okay, it had some hiccups. So I probably land about the same, Mikey. Honestly, about 8. Yeah, I could give it an 8.5, but probably like an 8.25 or something. I don't know. But it wasn't bad. I thought that the matches were pretty good, and I thought some of them were pretty badass, and so I thought there was a pretty even mix, and even like all the promo backstage stuff. I thought overall it was a pretty good episode. So I fell about in the 8.5 range. I did. I didn't dislike it. It was good. I just, I had my own personal nitpickiness of it. The Frank Kazarian thing kind of dropped it for me because it still sits bitterly in the back of my throat right now. So I would say about an 8.5 ish.
Yeah, I am kind of there with y'all too. I gave it an 8.3. It was a promo heavy show.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of promos going on in this, and I feel like we came out of last week, which was obviously the recordings from Snake Eyes. We came into this week, and it felt like there was less action going on, but they were building. And I think what we're seeing is the rebuilding of TNA and building it into what TNA is going to be going forward. The co-main event and the main event really put it over for me. Those were my top 2 matches of the night. It was like half a point difference for me. So that really bumped it up for me. There was a couple of rough spots, but nothing that made me feel like this was like a bad show.
Oh boy. Listen, I'm excited for next week. And I'm hoping that Trinity, Jordan, and Savannah and Giselle is going to be our main event for next week.
Yes, better be.
You damn right.
I already have dubbed that as our thumbnail for next week. I'm just putting it out there. But that is going to bring us to the end of this week's Takedown Troupe review. If you enjoyed this, you can check out all the other reviews and live stream VODs that we have here at the Biconics YouTube channel. Follow us all over the social medias at BC WrestlePod and subscribe to wherever your favorite podcasting networks are to get audio versions of everything that we do as well, because it's a great time. You will see, well, me and Will are super excited because we will be covering NXT's Vengeance Day, which is happening this weekend, and we will be reviewing it next week. And I'm just going to make the announcement here since, all 3 of us are here. The NXT family is going to be growing by 1 because we have gained another co-host. So now it is going to go from a duo to a trio. And you might be wondering, who is that going to be? Well, after much begging and pleading, not really though, because this individual is amazing and just decided to do it of their own accord. But I'm not going to say no. I just, after some talking about schedule wise and hoping that, it's not going to overload them, because that is the last thing I want any of my Biconics boys to have here. I would like to officially announce here that Andrew is going to be joining us for the NXT review team as well. So you will see Andrew both for TNA, Ring of Honor, and now he's going to add NXT to his resume. He's jumping into the deep end because his first review is going to be this upcoming Wednesday when we review NXT's Vengeance Day. Yeah. Andrew, welcome to the team. We're so happy to have you a part of our little NXT family.
Thank you. It was kind of the same thing with TNA. I started watching a few weeks ago, and with NXT, and I just started, and it got me into it. I'm very impressed with what I've seen. I haven't watched since Black and Gold, so yeah, I'm pumped. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to Vengeance Day's got an awesome card, so I'm pumped for it. Yeah, so
I'm super excited. Well, we won. We could listen. I'm gonna put this out on air. I love hanging out with Andrew and Will for TNA, and I love hanging out with all the review teams, and I'm super excited that I get to do it twice a week now with these 2 gentlemen in terms of hanging out and reviewing wrestling. It's going to be a good time. So if you want to see how the new NXT dynamic is going to work out, make sure to check us out during our live stream review of Vengeance Day this upcoming Wednesday. It's going to be a good time. But until then, from your trio here and the rest of the Biconics boys, remember, take care of yourself, love one another. As always, stay Biconic, you guys, gals, non-binary pals, he, she's, and theys and gays of the world. We love you. We see you. Talk to y'all next week. Laters!
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's gonna happen next time? Well, you're gonna have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.